Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video on Vix Tutorials. I am Mr. Olo, and in today's tutorial video, we are going to be doing something different, something we've not done on this channel before, where I'll be teaching you how to create a product social media design on both Figma and CorelDraw. So without further ado, let's jump right in. As you can see, I'm right here in the Figma interface. So now, before I even continue, let me make something clear for us. Now, apart from the fact that you're going to learn how to create this type of design from using either Figma or CorelDraw, one thing that let's say the most important thing you're going to take home from this particular tutorial video is the fact that you're going to be exposed to some tools that can aid you in working more effectively, like improve your design workflow, your productivity while designing, and you're going to see how we're going to do that anyway. So now, as you can see, I have my color palettes we're going to be using for the design, and I have my resources we're going to be using for the design. Now, if you're in need of this headphone, check the link in the description to download it. Anyway, before we continue, we have to remove the background of this headphone, which is one of the most important things for us to do. We can't design using this headphone with its background. So what we are simply going to do is to remove the background. But this isn't Photoshop or CorelDraw that we could easily just remove the background while in the app. But, well, for those of us who are not new to Figma, there is something they call plugins. And for those of us who are new to Figma, this isn't new to you anymore. So plugins are like, embedded AIs that can enable us to achieve certain things, certain tools, or certain functions. So in order for us to remove the background of this headphone, I'm just going to right click on it, and I'm going to come over to my plugins, and I'm going to choose this one, which is Icons 8 Background Remover, and I'm just going to click on Remove Background, and we are going to hold on for a couple of minutes for the background to remove. And there we have it, our background is removed. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and yeah, there we go. So now, quickly, for those of us who are new to Figma, right here at this side, your left hand side, you have your layers panel. So if you are a Photoshop person, this isn't new to you. And right here on my right, we have the properties panel. I call it the properties panel, like it's literally a properties, because that's where you find the properties of the elements you're using, how to position your element and all that. So I just call it the properties panel. So now, there we go. So now let's go over into designing creating our design. So before we start, we need to change the background color to white, and then to bring out our artboard, we just hit on the F button to bring out our frame. So on that frame, we'll choose our Instagram post, and there we go. We have our Instagram post. Now frames are just like your artboard in Photoshop or CorelDraw or thereabout. So now we have our frame. I'm just going to come over to my shapes, and I'm going to draw a rectangle across it, because that's what I'll be using for my background. So let me position this properly. Yoa. So now I'm going to change the color of my background to, I think, the dark color. So I'll tap on my rectangle, and I'll come over to the fill, and I'll go over to the color picker or color eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select the black. Okay, let me just select it here. Anyway, I don't know why that didn't work. Anyway, so let's go on. So we have our color, we have our background. So I'm just going to bring in our image now. So I'm going to increase it a bit. So something of this nature. So I'll make sure it snaps. I think this is cool. So now we've snapped our stuff. So the next thing we are going to do is to bring in our text. So I'm just going over to my text tool, and I'm going to tap on the text tool. But before that, I already have what we are going to type in our stuff. So we have the let's say our hierarchy, our heading. We have it as discover the innovative world of appliances. So we're just going to hit our text tool, and we're going to type in. Discover the innovative world of appliances. Don't worry, I'm going to bring it in. So we have it here. So I'm using my text as enter, and I'm using extra bold. You can see my properties, Inter is the font, extra bold. So I'm going to bring this down, the word of appliances. So now I have my text. So I'm going to bring in my, let's see, I don't know if I should call it the body of the text. I'm just going to type in. So I'm going to come over here and type it. Check out the latest models from famous brands at unbeatable prices. So before we do that, let me quickly adjust this. So now since this is going to be like our body text, so we are going to change the font weight here, and I'm going to go with medium or regular, and I'm going to increase the font size to, let's say, 20. Okay, so let's work with 20. Okay, models from famous brands at unbeatable prices. So now we're going to take this down a bit to this point. I think that will do it. So we need to increase this a bit. So I'm going to hit the K on my keyboard to bring out my scale tool so I can easily scale this up. I'm thinking of making it 3 lines. Okay, something like this. Okay, so I have something like this. So this should do it. So the next step is to, let's say, let me reduce the line spacing. So I'm going to tap on my text and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to increase the line spacing a bit. I think this should be okay. So I'm just going to adjust this up a bit. I think this is fine. So the next thing we are going to design, or we're going to put into our design here, is going to be the price panel. So I'm going to come over to my rectangle tool. I'm going to tap on it and I'm going to draw a box. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to round the corners. I'm going to put it here, something like this. I'm going to adjust it. It aligns to these ones. So what do we have here? We have $348. So I'm just going to zoom in and I'm going to type in $348. So $348. And there we have it. So I'm just going to align it properly. And I'm going to increase the font weight to maybe bold. You can see how we just using one font all through. And that is on that principle of design we need to, that is on that fact of design we need to understand, okay? When you're working in design, always make sure you try to use one font or nothing more than 2 to 3 fonts, please. In fact, 3 fonts is too much. At least 2 fonts is okay. So I'm going to scale it. And then I'm going to put it back to the middle. I think the box is too big for it. So let me just increase this a bit. Scale, Shift and Alt. So I can scale it proportionally. And I think that is fine. This is fine. Okay, so we have this. So we're almost done with designing this on Figma. So the next thing is to create a little bit of, I call it finesse. We need to put in a little bit of finesse to this. So we're going to create some ellipse gradient or some circular gradients. So I'm going to select these 2 colors and I'm going to make a duplicate right here. So to make a duplicate, you drag and you hold your Alt key to make a duplicate. So I'm just going to come over to my shape tool and I'm going to choose the ellipse tool. Holding my shift key, I'll draw a circle up here. And let's go create our gradient. So in order for us to create a gradient, we just have to come to the fill right here. We come up here, select and we choose linear. So now this is going to enable us to create a gradient. So we just tap on this first part, we choose our picker tool, and we choose the first color we have here. We come over to the second one, we choose our picker tool and we select this other one we have here. And we have our gradient. So now we are done. Let's just position the gradient. I want it to be something like this. Why this is more dominant, something this nature, yeah. And there we go, we've created our gradient. So I'm just going to create another duplicate here. And then I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to put it somewhere here. Why this will be here. Now we are going to see this gradient again for the text and for this our bar here. So in order for us to be able to do that easily, what we're going to do is to create a material or let's call it a style on this color. Now this is going to be a little bit of process for us to understand, but it's one of those things that comes with Figma, and I believe that as we go on understanding Figma, we're going to see how all of these things work. So to create that style so that we can easily copy that gradient, instead of us coming over here to the text or to this our price box here to create a new gradient or to start recreating the gradients. And so what we just simply need to do is to create a color style. So to create a color style, we just select this, okay, select where we have created the gradient. We come over here. Now instead of tapping on the fill, we come to this 4 box here, these 4 buttons here, which is called style. Select it, click on the plus sign, which is to create style, and then we just call it gradient and we click create style. Now that gradient is created. So all we really need to do is, if we want to now apply the colors, we just tap on this text tool, we come down here. Instead of tapping on fill, we tap on this and then we select this and the gradient automatically applies. We are going to do the same thing here. Let's increase this a little bit. Yes. So just tap on this, come down here too, select this, and bam, the gradient is applied. And there we go. So I need to change the color of this to this particular one here. So I come here, fill, bam, and I get that. So that is it. So now, having done this, we need to bring this tool to the back of the headphone. So just like you would do with Photoshop, go to your layer panel, look for the headphone, which is this, and just drag it above the ellipse. And there you go. We got that. However, I need to create a little bit of a light ray. So I'm going to select this, bring it in here, create a duplicate. So let me bring it to the top a little. Okay. So now I have it. So to make sure I get that gradient I'm looking for, to create that light ray that I'm looking for, I just come down to my effects, I click on the plus sign, I come over to this one, click on the drop shadow, and I click on layer blur. And then I come here and click on the effect settings, and I can increase it to, let's say, 350. Okay, so we can reduce it to make it a little bit subtle. And there we go, and I can just bring it down back below, or bring it below this. And we have that little subtle light ray over there. And that is how we can easily create this effect. Now let me add a little bit of effects down here. So I could just make a duplicate of this. Okay. Take it to the top. Make sure this one is below. Come over to effects. Put in the plus sign. And I can put it the layer blur also. And I can increase the layer blur a bit to give it that effect that I'm looking for. And I can reduce the size. And I can push it in. So let me just quickly push this in. So I can easily just tap on this and I can push it in. Okay, there we go. We created that little blur effect down there. And that is how we can easily create this simple product-based social media design on Figma. Now let's go over to CorelDraw and create it. But before we do that, let's quickly export our design. So we can just delete this and we can tap here and we can come over here. Should we create a little bit of shadow down here? Yes, let's create a shadow. So we come over to our ellipse tool, just create a subtool shadow here. Come over to our fill and we can just select this color. Should we change the color? Let's see if maybe changing the color could help us out a little bit. We can reduce the transparency to create our subtle effects. And I think You can do it, it's your choice. You can decide to have the blur effect if you want. You can decide not to have it. Everything is completely up to you. Anything that you feel you can do to add aesthetics to your design. And there you go, we have that effect. And we can just select this to select everything, come down here to export. And we can export in either PNG or JPEG. And just click on export. And our design is exporting. And voila, it's downloaded into our stuff, and we can send it to our clients, upload it on our social media pages, and that is how you can create this design on Figma. So now let's go back to CorelDraw and let's create out of CorelDraw. So now right here in CorelDraw, you can see we already have our color palette also ready to go. So now the next step is to create our background. As you can see, I'm using 1000 by 1000 pixels over here. You can use whatever pixel you have, as long as maybe you have a square. And there we go. So we're going to create the one we are going to be using as our main background. And then we're going to reduce it a bit. Let me just reduce it. Then we're going to select this and we're going to bring in the color in. And then let's just power clip it inside of this other circle box. And then we can expand it and we can come out of our box and we have this stuff. So now the next thing is to bring in our headphone. However, if you can look it very well here, we have our headphone, the background is not removed. But how can we do this? How can we remove our background without actually using the plugin in Figma? Now, the tool to use here is called the Adobe Express background remover. So all I just need to do is to bring in my image, drag it inside of this place, and allow it to perform its magic. So let's hold on till it removes its background. As you can see, our background is done easy peasy right here on this. Anyway, you need your data connection to do this. So instead of stressing yourself, fine-tuning on Photoshop or CorelDraw, you can just easily use all of these tools to improve your productivity. And I can just right click and click on save image if I don't want to really go through the long process of clicking download, and I just download it into my system. And all I need to do is come over to my download files. I could just come over to my downloaded files and I have it right here in my downloaded file. See the Figma stuff we just exported, and I can just drag in the headphone into CorelDraw. And then we have our headphone in CorelDraw with the background already removed. And there we go. We have it in CorelDraw, our background removed. And then let's bring in our text. So to bring in our text, we just tap in our text tool and just tap. Then we come over to our Google Keep and we just copy the text here. Appliances. So we forgot to add disco. Okay, we are going to do that. Don't worry. Discover the innovative world of appliances. And we are going to just reduce, and we are going to give it the color white for now. Then we are going to reduce the line spacing. So we press the F10 on our keyboard to activate the shape tool so that we can reduce the line spacing easily. And there we go. We are done with that. So the next step is to bring in our other stuff. So we're going to tap in here and we're going to come down here and we're going to just copy and paste. So you might be wondering, why didn't we do copy and paste in Figma? Well, in Figma, I tried using copy and paste, it didn't work. Maybe I'm just the one who isn't getting it right. So that's why I just had to type it manually. So we were using regular. So how do we break it down? So let's go over to Figma and see how we broke it down. We had models, arts. Okay, models, break it down here and here. And we can then reduce it and reduce the line spacing also. And now to make sure that it aligns properly with this one, to make sure this text aligns properly with this text, we hold this first, holding down your shift key, we tap this text first, holding down your shift key, you tap on this and you tap on L, and it automatically aligns it to the left. And there we go. That is done. So the next step is to create that our stuff right here, as in where we have the whole price tag. Yeah, price tag. Designing on two softwares can really be daunting. So let me just color this white. So you go back to your shape tool in order to round the corners. So we're just going to completely round it, and we're going to reduce it a bit. So we're just going to copy this text here, drag, right click to duplicate. So what do we have here? We have $348. $348 here. So we can just type in 348, and there we go. So in order for us to let's make this bold. Okay, so now we are going to bring this and we're going to give it this color. So you hold your Shift Ctrl E to activate your color picker, and then once you zoom, you can see it. You tap here E and C to align vertically and horizontally at the same time. So we're just going to hold down our Shift key and our Alt key. We're just going to hold our Control key to our Shift key, to minimize. Oh, Figma has entered my head. We're just going to, this is fine. So now let's create our gradients. So we're going to go over to our ellipse tool, and we're just going to drag our ellipse, and then we're going to create a gradient by coming over to our interactive fill tool. We went this way, so we're just going to tap here. Okay, picker with our picker tool, bam, and here the same thing, picker tool, bam, and we have it, and we can adjust it how we want, and there we go. We can now drop it in here, reduce the circle a bit, and we can drop it somewhere here, just like we did in Figma. And we can make a duplicate and then minimize it also. And bring it down here. Then we now take this, make a duplicate. Now to create that light effect, we go over to Effects, we go over to Blur, and we go over to Gaussian Blur. And now we can easily just blur it out till we get to what we're looking for. And there we go. It's blurred out. And now we can easily select this, and just press Shift Page Up to bring it to the top. While this, we now press Shift Page Up to make sure it's above everyone. Now we just take this gradient. Unlike Figma where we had to create a style, we can just take this, drag the style in here, drag the gradient here, and also drag this gradient here. And there we go. So the next step is to create our blur effect that we did before. Just make a duplicate. Make a duplicate, make sure this and this are grouped together with Ctrl G, Shift Page Up to take it to the top. Okay. Ctrl G and Shift Page Up to take it to the top. And we can do the same thing, Effects, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And this might blur everything out totally because we took it to the extreme, so we can reduce it till we get to what we are looking for. So let's work with 10 and see. We can always reduce it, and we can just adjust it till we get to what we are looking for. There we go. And we've created that. Now we can just highlight everything, right click and power clip it inside to get that clipping mask to effect. And there we go. And we can now delete this. Now, yes, there was something I talked about, disco. We forgot to add disco, like sort of on that stuff. So let's just go in, take this, make a duplicate, double tap, Ctrl A, disco. So we're going to make it a bit big, and we're going to bring it in here. So we're going to put it at the back. So we're going to press Ctrl Shift Page Up So let's highlight this a little bit. I'm thinking if this is even necessary. Yeah, I'm currently now thinking if this is necessary. Or we could make it go this way. Sorry, make it go this way. If that will even make sense. That will be a lot of write-ups in this design. Let's just do away with it. And there we go. So this is how you can easily create this sort of design in both Figma and CorelDraw. So let's create that our background blur. So we can just give it the gradient color. So let's just drag it in. Gradient color, do the same thing, which is effects, blur, Gaussian blur. And now if you get this, you can come over here to your transparency and you can reduce your transparency. So you get what you're looking for. Maybe something like this. And voila. And we are done, and you can just easily hit the Ctrl E on your keyboard to export your design. And let's just export it as untitled, 1000 pixels, and there we have it. So if you love this video, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, as it helps us to grow and to create more tutorial videos like this. And please make sure to join our free Telegram community using the link in the description. And until the next tutorial, I'm gonna catch you guys. Peace out.